Hi, I'm Suzette Burrow, Marketing Director at CAG.
And I'm Cody Penna, the Service Director at First Texas Honda.
And in this video series, we're going to cover this book. It's called The Essential Wooden. If you're not familiar with Coach Wooden, he was an amazing coach and an amazing leader, and he coached in the 1960s and 70s.
He was a humble man that has quite the title under his belt. He led his team through 10 NCAA championships while maintaining an 88-game winning streak.
It's incredible.
Cannot wait to dive into not only how you obtain that level of performance, but most importantly, how you sustain it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's dive in and let's see if we can learn some stuff.
Look at Bill. Come. Give it to him. Over the top. Over here, man. Over the left.
Your first NCAA, and I said, I'm a slow learner. But you see, once I learn something, I have it down pretty good.
I tell my players to be quick, but not to hurry.
One of the things he talks about is, even though he always played to win, he never used the word winning. The scoreboard was never a measure of his team's success. I think that's incredible. It wasn't about his team winning, it was about the effort that they put into the game.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the philosophy behind that, as comparing yourself to others is never a way to succeed, and so many have learned from his philosophy, to do so. It's all about comparing yourself to your own potential. How can you possibly be the best? How do you get 1% better than the last time you played? Right. And of course, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And I really love how he embodies that.
Yeah, and if you grow 1% each day or each time you get on that court, when you look back, you're going to see your growth. You may not feel it in that one game, but over time, it compounds and your team gets better around you too.
And something that is just super cool that Coach Wooden always did, he talks about it so much in the book. Do you recall all the mentions of his index cards? How he painstakingly kept track of every little thing. Yeah. So when it comes to actually getting 1% better, he could tell you in the exact moment, you made that one step in the paint 1% better than last time. Here's the card on how long it took you to do it.
Yeah, his practices were so grueling that they said his team, they were exhausted when they got done with practice. They tried more. It was harder for them to practice than sometimes it was in the game. Yeah. Because that is the standard that Coach Wooden had, which I think was incredible.
Is it the magical words of effort that we're transitioning into now?
Effort, and also being better. Measuring you against yourself. Yeah, definitely. The subject of the book is how he was able to teach his team to win by believing in a higher standard than victory, and that's kind of what we've discussed here is measuring yourself against that standard, which I think is incredibly important.
That level of discipline that he preaches so often throughout this book. You'll see the theme recurring as we go through all of the parts, but that is paramount. I think that's one of the most important features of this entire book.
Yeah. And a little bit about Wooden, it says his former players attest to his character using words such as demanding, honest, strong-willed, professional, caring, driven, respectful, principled, sincere, determined. All of those words are something that I think all of us would love to be remembered by the people that we work with and are around on a day-to-day basis.
And these aren't average Joes making these claims. These are some of the greatest basketball players in the history of the sport, such as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There's a lot of mentions of other famous players in this book that cannot say more, not about him being the absolute best coach or the hardest guy on the planet, but the one that made sure that when they were playing or they were training, that they did not leave an ounce to be desired. They gave their all when under his leadership.
When it showed, 10 championships. That's incredible. And
it's not a coincidence.
And I think it was like 4 years of perfect wins, right?
Yeah.
It was something crazy like that. So
a level of success only one can dream to obtain.
Yep. Well, let's jump into part 1 of this book. That was kind of the intro. One of the things that Coach Wooden talks about as he starts this book is continual learning and continual growth. It kind of goes back to the 1% better. If we put in the time and we put in the effort to get 1% better, we're going to continue to grow and we're going to help the people around us grow. And I think that's what we're doing here at CAG.
Absolutely. With book clubs, the mentor resources that we're offering, that really transcends throughout the culture. And speaking of things that transcend throughout, as we get through this book, I think I'm just going to say it, all of the motivational quotes that exist in the history of anything have probably come from this text.
Yeah.
One of the first quotes that I really love out of part 1 is, live as though you'll die tomorrow, learn as though you'll live forever. Leaders never stop learning. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's because leaders never can stop learning, because if we're not growing and if we're not learning, we can't lead correctly, or we can't help other people learn and grow. It's just not possible.
You can't give something that you don't already have. I feel like that's a very deep-rooted philosophy. You know, if you're not constantly challenging yourself and pushing the limit of your own abilities as a leader, you cannot accurately depict how to push that envelope for your team.
Absolutely. And I just love how the mission of CAG, transformational, not transactional, all of that is about transforming ourselves too. It's not only the customer's experience, it's about our inner self and growing ourselves. And
it starts with us, really.
It starts with us.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, I just love the thought of continual growth and continual learning to help others, because that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
And he says it best, Coach Wooden's success should be ultimately measured by our ceaseless effort to reach our own personal best.
Absolutely. And in order to do that, we have to learn every day.
Every single day. You
every
can't
day.
stop.
The next thing he talks about is never flinch at failure. You know, we all have failures in our life, and we're all going to fail at some point. And it's not about beating yourself up. It's about learning from that. Because I think if you learn from it, then you're a better person than you were the day before.
Yep. I like to think of the word fail as first attempt in learning.
Okay.
That helps overcome some of the negative stigma when it comes to either making a mistake, doing the wrong thing, not achieving the outcome that you're looking for.
Yep.
If you can view or adjust your mindset to not be crushed or burdened by the fear of potentially doing the wrong thing, as opposed to going into the situation and realizing, wow, I will never do it again that way. I'm so glad I know now, and I'm going to be better next time.
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the things that I loved that Wooden distinguished was he talks about intelligent mistakes.
Yeah.
It's not mistakes caused by haste or sloppiness.
That's a good one.
And I think it's so important that you define what that mistake is, because we can all get busy and become sloppy, and that's not the mistake that he's talking about.
No.
He's talking about the ones that we intelligently think about something, and if it doesn't work out, that's okay. We can learn from it.
Yeah.
And
if you made the decision to not follow the process or ignore the guidelines, he's not interested in that.
Right.
He's interested in how did you possibly give it your all. Mm-hmm. If that outcome wasn't exactly what you hoped for, where are we going to make up for the difference, and how are we going to try again next time?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Really like that. What about concern versus worry? I really like this one. I think this is a good stigma to break, because they are two very different things.
It is. And I feel like, and it's something that I definitely can learn from, because I find myself a lot worrying about things instead of being concerned about things. And he really does a good job of discerning what is a concern and what's a worry. And if you're worrying, that's a waste of your time.
Yep. I almost have it by definition here. Coach Wooden mentions worry is fretting about the future. Concern is figuring out future solutions. Mm-hmm. When you're concerned, you're going to analyze and determine where and how to improve. I mean,
absolutely.
I wish I could have heard that 29 years ago. That probably would have made my life a little bit easier.
You know, well, it also talks about, he goes, the next time you wake up in the middle of the night, ask yourself, am I fretting about the future or figuring out what to do next?
See, that spoke to me, because the 2 in the morning, oh my God, how do I fix this problem tomorrow? That's just...
Absolutely. We've all been there, where we wake up at 2 in the morning and your mind's racing, and it's a great practice to think, okay, wait, am I figuring out solutions? If so, I think he even says in the book, get up and start writing notes or writing ideas.
Yeah.
And then, but if you're sitting there just concerned about the possibility of something not working out, go to sleep.
Are you ready for another acronym?
What?
Fear. False events appearing real.
Yes. So good. And that's exactly what worry is.
Exactly.
And most of the time when we worry about something, it doesn't even come to pass.
Yeah.
And so it's just wasting our time, and it's honestly wasting our sleep.
No kidding. We all could use a little bit more of that. On the topic of more of the emotional side, when it comes to worrying or being concerned, Coach Wooden has some great mantras about actually controlling your emotions. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, controlling your emotions. If you can't control your emotions will control you.
How do you feel if, or let's take a couple of steps back. We've all been somewhere in life, whether it's in business or your family or your friends even, when you have that natural born leader, say it's a parent or somebody that you look up to.
Okay.
When they lose it,
yeah.
Everybody loses it.
Everyone
Am I right?
loses it. Yeah, in the household, everyone feels it. And I feel like if you lose control of your emotions, you're already lost at that point. And that could even be when dealing with a customer or dealing with, it could be both professional and personal. It could be home life or it could be with a customer. We have to keep our emotions in check.
Yep.
And I think that's extremely important.
Almost as important as acting the same whether you win or lose. I know that's a simple one and it may seem rudimentary, but putting that in text and understanding that as law is something that is extremely important when it comes to your character, which we will get into a ton in the rest of this book.
Yeah, and I think that attests to a lot of what we deal with in the car business, right? We have bad months or we have good months, and acting the same and continuing that course and being that leader that we need to be day in and day out, regardless what the scoreboard says, regardless how many cars we have out or how many cars we service. We got to be the same.
That comes from belief, which I cannot wait to talk about more.
Absolutely. Well, I think that kind of wrapped up part 1. We'll see you guys later for part 2, but we're excited to get into this.